The text arrived just after 9 on a Saturday. Terse and unadorned. Come now, please. It was from Marion, my aunt, and I hadn't heard from her in months. The last time had been a postcard of an empty beach. 3 years before that, my cousin David had drowned in the pond behind her house. Afterward, everything had unwound. Divorce, silence, the way her voice narrowed into the walls of that old house until it belonged only to the house. I drove 6 hours because adults still go to the people who taught them how to tie shoelaces and cut apples. The drive, blurred highway gray, radio low until the estate rose up between 2 dead maples like a rumor. The garden had surrendered first, a tangle of thistle and blackened statuary. The house looked ill in the way an animal looks ill, not aggressive but exhausted, coat clumped with dust. The front door opened with the indifferent ease of a thing long unloved. A smell came from me, damp, old paper, the sour breath of decomposition, and the house answered every step I took with silence so complete it felt like a presence. Cobwebs bristled in the corners like warning flags. Portraits watched me with faces hardened by dust. I called Marion's name and the sound thinned and vanished. In the study, she sat in her chair as if listening, as if sleep had merely closed her eyes. I went to her and lay my hand on her shoulder. The skin folded and did not warm. Her face had the strange smoothness of cheerless things. On the table, a photograph. David, hair matted with pond grass in a summer sun that did not come to this room any longer. I tasted apology salt and iron because I had let months become distance. I called the police and the paramedics, and they told me what my small, selfish heart had already named. Marion had taken poison. The house kept its quiet. The house watched me through the long afternoon, as if waiting to see what the living would do. Marion's will left me everything. I rented a hotel because the house made my skin prickle, because the corners of the room seemed to lean in like fingers, because once you know how a place smells when hope has left it, you do not want it to grow familiar. The day before the funeral, duty called me back. I needed a dress, a last comfort for a woman who had once worn violets to dances. In her bedroom, the closet gaped like an open mouth. I pulled a dress free and it snagged. Behind a false back, a shallow compartment yielded its hoarded things. Photographs, a child's boot, a fist-sized doll with a face that tried to be a boy. Under them, folded papers, letters. Each envelope was addressed to David in a looping, cramped hand. I read the first slowly, fingers trembling, as though the paper itself could bite. My dear, sweet David, it began. Mommy loved you. She really did. She never meant to cause you pain. I just couldn't do it anymore. Please, son, forgive me. My throat closed. The words were small and terrible, apologetic and practical, like someone writing inventory before a theft. A later letter lost gentleness entirely. David, why don't you understand? It was difficult for me. I tried so hard to be a good mommy to you, But I only had you to make your father happy. I never wanted you. I couldn't do it anymore. Leave, David, please. For Christ's sake, leave. I read until the room shrank. The letters stitched themselves into a confession I had not been ready for. I gave you a painless death. I just wanted your dad and me to be happy again. You are selfish, evil, you ruined my life. They were not ramblings of grief alone. They were an account, a sequence of justification and rage. The last letter, dated the morning of her death, screamed on the page, "I won't let you keep me here. Mommy is coming to punish you. Mommy is coming for you." My first plain thought, the one that smelled of law and duty, was to call someone. Then something colder and more private settled over me. What would be served by unearthing her violence now? My uncle had built a slow, careful life after the divorce. He had a partner who tended a small shop and a garden. The world owed him peace, I thought. Truth would be a splinter into a reopened hand. I folded the letters inside the violet dress as if they might be blistering things to carry. I handed the dress to the funeral director and said nothing to anyone. I burned the rest in a metal bin behind the hotel, watching the ash float up and vanish. I told myself I burned more than ink. I burned accusation and scandal, and the chance to let my family learn something that might break them. I told myself mercy. That night, in a borrowed bed, in a town whose name I could not remember. The next morning, I dreamt of water, David dragging the pond under glass, my aunt's hand in the water, closing. Years have passed. The house stayed in my name, the way some quiet crimes stay with you, a stain on a ledger. I've tried to sell it twice. Sometimes when I drive past the estate, the house looks not empty, but expectant, a patient thing that keeps its face in shadow. At night, in my own home, I still wake suddenly to sound like water dragged over stone, or to the found memory of a small laugh that was not a laugh at all. What I do not tell them is the truth that sits light as a coin in my pocket. The thing I burned might have been confession, or it might have been the raving of grief. Either way, something stayed. The house will not let the pond rest. The house is patient, and the laugh keeps returning to the edges of my nights, as if a child, whether ghost or echo, remains, angry because someone made a bargain he did not understand, and because no one kept the promise to make it right.